What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ben on Sports. And as you can see, I have a basketball episode. NBA playoffs are starting. The play in. I wanted to get this episode in before the play in. Play in takes place Tuesday this week, April 15th. The actual playoffs, will be starting this weekend on the 19th. But yes, wanted to get this up before the play in. Talk about the play in. Talk about some of the teams. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. I'm going to try and keep it kind of short, but I have a little bit of, a little bit more content than normal to get through. And I am predicting the playoffs after all, so sometimes that can get long. So without further ado, let's jump in with the explanation of the play in. I know most of us understand how it works right now. I kind of summarized it right here. Um, I don't think it's too complicated. I think it seems more complicated than it is. Obviously, the play in is not new. It's been here since the bubble and COVID. Again, it's the 7 through 10 teams playing for two spots. The 7 plays the 8 seed, and the winner of the 7-8 game becomes the 7 seed in the playoffs and will go on to face the 2 seed. The winner of the 9-10 game goes on to face the loser of that, and the loser between the 9 and the 10 seed gets eliminated from the playoffs. And then finally, the loser of the 7-8 seed and the winner of the 9-10 seed, and if the high seed wins, it would be 8 versus 9, will go on to play each other, and the winner of that game gets the 8 seed and plays the 1, and the loser of that game goes to the lottery in the draft. Essentially, this is the way I look at it. It's a double elimination for the 7 and 8 seed. Their reward for finishing in the top 8 in the conference, where you would normally go in the playoffs, is you get 2 chances and you just have to win 1 to make the playoffs. If you are a 9 and a 10, you still have the chance, but you have to go perfect. You cannot lose a game in the play-in or you are out. This year, here are the matchups. In the East, it is 7 Magic versus 8 Hawks and 9 Bulls versus 10 Heat. Those can make for some very intriguing matchups from some very different stylistic matchups. And then in the West, some pretty darn good teams, especially in that 7-8 game. Warriors versus Grizzlies in the 7-8, and Kings versus Mavericks at the 9-10. Another thing of important note here, with these games, the higher seed host, so the Warriors will have home court advantage, and then the 9 seeds have home court advantage. And then the losers of the first games will have home court advantage over the winner of the second games. So here, what are my predictions on the play? And here you can see the rest of the playoff bracket for the East. So I'll do the same thing for the West. But the Cavs are the 1 seed and the Celtics are the 2 seed. So that's the bottom matchups you see here are set because those are 4-5 and 3-6. So the first game is the 7-8, and I have it on that side because the winner of that game faces the Celtics. Magic versus Hawks, and Paolo Banchero's had an incredible end to the season. He's kind of carrying them offensively, but I think they kind of have to. The Magic do have some injuries. They are an incredible defensive team, an elite defensive team. They shut opponents down, but they sometimes lack scoring. The Hawks are kind of the middle of a road team on offense, a middle of the road team on defense. The one thing I think the Hawks have gone for them is with Jalen Suggs out, I don't know who's going to guard Trae Young for the Magic all day. I don't know who's going to do it. They need somebody that can guard Trae Young. And I don't know if that person's on the Magic roster. So maybe Trae Young has a big game to propel them into the playoffs. But I think this Magic team in this playoff style basketball, that elite defense is going to be very important. And I think that they'll get enough scoring from people not named Banchero to help Banchero out. And I think the Magic win the first game, locking them in with a matchup against the Celtics, who they beat 2 out of the 3 times they played this year. Then I think out of these 4 playing teams, the Heat have the highest ceiling, in my opinion. I think this could be a Heat team that has pretty good. I still think they're lacking that 1 star. I think if they had that 1 star, bona fide All NBA player, they'd be really good. Obviously, they traded him away, but they got some good pieces back. I just don't know if the Heat have coalesced yet. And my second point is the Heat have been very bad in fourth quarters coming down the home stretch, or they arguably wouldn't even need to be in the play-in. They play well, and then they're giving so many games away in the fourth quarter. Well, in the playing games historically have been pretty close. You got to play well in the fourth quarter if you want to win them, and the Heat haven't done that, so I'm very nervous to pick them. And this Bulls team is fun, man. I think the Heat are the team equipped to do damage if they make the playoffs, but for the reasons I said, and like I said, the Bulls are fun. Kobe White should have been an All-Star this year. He's having an incredible season. Yeah. Lonzo Ball is finally healthy and playing pretty well, understanding his role. They still have good other pieces there on the perimeter. Kind of inside, I worry a little bit about, but they still got Vucevic, right? Maybe not what he was with the Magic, but still good. And I just think the Bulls are fun. They shoot a lot of threes. And I think their 3-point shooting is going to be enough to get them by the Heat, who have struggled because of their struggle in the fourth quarter. Meaning the Bulls and the Hawks line up for the last spot in a 9-8 matchup. And I think the Bulls narrowly edge the Hawks. The Bulls do have people to match up with Trae Young, particularly Lonzo Ball. The Bulls have a lot of young talent still. The Bulls, again, I just think the vibes are good around this Bulls team, even though they've traded away LaVine and DeRozan and Caruso, a lot of these experienced vets. I just feel like they're a young, fun team that is and they're dangerous for that reason. I think the Hawks are trying to retool, and they probably want to be in the lottery anyway. I'm going to pick the Bulls to beat the Hawks, meaning the Bulls get the 8 seed and get the honor and privilege of facing the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round. What about the West? Well, I think the West maybe is a little bit more cut and dry. I think the West is obviously the better conference, but let's start with the 7-8 matchup, the winner facing the 2 seed Rockets. Warriors and Grizzlies. Now, both of these teams have been out of the play-in. Both of them have been in the play-in. The Western Conference has been so close. I'm sure everybody's seen the graphic about the gap from 3 to 8 in this conference is like 2 games. So, it's not nearly as big as it is in the Eastern Conference. A lot of these teams are really, really good and have great players. The Grizzlies were at one point completely out of the play, and they were fighting for a 2 or 3 seed. The Warriors had a really good start, and then they struggled a little bit. But since they've gotten Jimmy Butler, they've been one of the best teams in the league. This has the makings for fireworks. These teams kind of have a rivalry in the Warriors and Grizzlies. Not only do they kind of have a rivalry, they've played each other in the play-in before, and the Grizzlies actually won that. I will say, however, while the Grizzlies did win that, the Warriors have won 7 of the last 11 against Memphis, but the Warriors have also never won a playing game, and they've been in quite a few the last couple of years. I think this Warriors team gets it done. I think it's 1, maybe 2, maybe 2 last rides for the Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr Warriors. Oh, and they have Jimmy Butler, a bona fide playoff performer. Those are Green, Curry, and Butler may be the 3 best players in the NBA at upping their performance when playoff time rolls around, and I expect nothing less from that trio coming into this playoff season. And they have the pieces at the wing to win this year. I think the Warriors, in a hard-fought home game, get the win over the Grizzlies. And then let's move over to the Mavericks, the 10, and the Kings, who are the 9. Kings finish with the losing record. The king of the play-in, DeMar DeRozan, is on their team. I think it's funny. They get rid of Fox. They get DeRozan. They get LaVine, at different points this year. It's a really interesting Kings team. They still have Sabonis. I don't know what the Kings are doing since they were the 3 seed in the West 2 years ago, but I don't think the decisions they made have been the smartest. They still have good players. I don't know if they necessarily coalesce, but this Mavericks team blew up what could have been one of the best long-term rosters in the NBA. They traded away a player who's probably going to be top 5 in the NBA for the next decade at least, in Luka Doncic. Who knows what the Mavericks were thinking? It wasn't very smart. Anthony Davis is going to have to carry a large burden with Kyrie Irving out. Klay Thompson, what's he going to do? He hasn't looked very good down the stretch. So there is some pieces down there in Dallas. Can they win going Anthony Davis and Derek Lively together? They might have to. I just don't see it. I think this Mavericks team is destined for the lottery this year. I think the Kings find enough to get around them, setting up a Kings and Grizzlies game. And I do think the Grizzlies are better than the Kings. I think in the Western Conference this season, there is a strong 8 teams that stand above everybody, and it is the 8 teams I have making it. This Grizzlies team Morant's starting to come around. It looks like they're starting to come around to their new coach after mysteriously firing Taylor Jenkins pretty late into the year. Jaren Jackson is having one of his best, if not his best year as a pro. They have the shooters. You have Zach Edey having a phenomenal rookie season for them. They have pieces in the paint, pieces on the wing, pieces to ball handle. This Grizzlies team is better than an 8 seed. And I don't think they struggle too much with the Kings at home. They move on to face the Thunder. And with this result, the West has actually seeded 1 through 8 as they would have been without the play-in anyway. So, if all of that were to come true, this would be the predicted playoff bracket that I have if you put it all together to determine a champion. Like I said, I think the West is a little bit more of a bloodbath than the East. I think there's some 2 particular teams that stand above the rest in the East. And I don't think the bottom is as good, but hasn't that been the case for a while? So before I predict this, I have some categories. I have favorite sleepers and see you next year. Let's start with the favorites. They're pretty obvious, right? The Cavs and the Cavs, Celtics, and Thunder have kind of been in a league of their own this season. Look at their records. Tell you as such. Obviously, the Celtics, the defending champs. The Cavs, I don't know if they have a good a glaring weakness on their roster. Not only do I not know if they have a glaring weakness, but maybe it's the size of their guards. I don't know. The only thing that scares me about the Cavs is they didn't finish the season particularly well after being arguably the best team in the NBA. But they are in the Eastern Conference, which will give them, in theory, some relief until the conference finals. The Celtics, again, not the Celtics from last year, but this is still a good Celtics team. If they can stay healthy, they probably are the best team in the NBA. That is a big if because they've been really banged up this year, especially Porzingis and Holiday. I still like them as a favorite to win the title. The Thunder, the 1 seed in the West, they've been one of the best teams all year. Maybe the Thunder's biggest weakness is inexperience, but they're still a very good team. I'm interested to see if this is finally the year they put it all together. The Lakers, the LeBron James and Luka Doncic combo, seems like they're starting to figure it out, and they're going to need to continue to figure it out on the fly. You got Austin Reeves. The one thing I'm worried about the Lakers, how do they protect the paint and get rebounds without Anthony Davis? And really, after that Mark Williams trade went through, who do they have that consistently get boards, who can consistently defend the paint? LeBron can do both of those things, but you're also not going to leave him in the paint on defense or offense because he's so good at doing other things. Who, if anybody, steps up for the Lakers? I think they have the pieces everywhere else in the backcourt, on the wings. They can shoot the ball, they can play defense, but who is the dominant paint force? Other than that, I really like the Lakers, and they have 2 of the biggest superstars in the league currently. The Nuggets. This may be a hot take to some. You might say, oh, they're only the 4 seed in the West, and the West is really tough. All of those are 100% true and valid points. But Nikola Jokic is having the best season of his career. He's averaging a triple-double. He's efficient. All the superlatives you want. And Nikola Jokic is that guy. And I just think he does everything he can to not let his team lose. I'll be interested to see, they fired Mike Malone really, really late in the year, but they're undefeated with their new head coach in the 3 games they played. So maybe there's something there. Maybe this players movement where there was tension between GM and coach and players, maybe that will do something. They do need to play defense, but they're one of, if not the best offensive team in the league with Jokic on the floor. They've won a title recently. They still have Jamal Murray and Jokic, who have been deadly in the playoffs. They need playoff Jamal Murray. I think this Nuggets team could surprise some people in the playoffs. Sleepers. Well, I listed the Nuggets as a 5th favorite, so maybe it's not fair to call them a sleeper, but they are a 4 seed for gosh sake, and I like them. I think they might be my biggest sleeper. The Golden State Warriors, the play-in, they could miss the big dance altogether with the play-in, but I don't think they do, and I think the Golden State Warriors are a massive sleeper. Jimmy Butler has single-handedly carried far less talented teams than this one to multiple finals berths. Oh, and who does he have to help him now? 2 4-time champions, the ultimate role player, the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year, Draymond Green, and the best shooter of all time, Steph Curry. That is, Jimmy Butler's never had this much help. He's made the finals with much less, and maybe Jimmy Butler maybe isn't even the star, right? I'm saying Jimmy Butler's never had this much help. Well, let's be honest. Steph Curry's the star of that team. He's the one we're talking about help. They have the young guys in Kuminga. I'll be interested to see if somebody like Quentin Post can do anything, or Podziemski. They have Gary Payton, obviously your 3-and-D lockdown defender. The Warriors have enough guys and to play any style they want. Steve Kerr has only won 4 finals as a head coach, and how many more as a player? This Warriors team is dangerous, and I would not want to see them coming out of the play-in if I am the Rockets or the Thunder. The Clippers not getting a lot of talk, but Kawhi Leonard seems like he might finally be healthy for a playoff run. Yes, Paul George left, but James Harden is stepping up and playing not, vintage James Harden is 30-plus point triple-doubles, but this is a pretty darn good version of James Harden. You just have to hope he doesn't disappear. But again, we've seen Kawhi Leonard win a championship with less help than what's on this Clippers team. Maybe Kawhi Leonard has one more classic playoff run in him. Plus, Norman Powell should have been an all-star this year. Norman Powell's playing incredible. Ivica Zubac is getting better, I feel like, every season, averaging a double-double. The guy's incredible, and if they're going to win their first-round matchup, they're going to need him to play well against Jokic. But this Clippers team, I don't think gets enough love. They're kind of quietly going about it. But this is a good Clippers team. The Bucks, why do I have an asterisk there? Well, the Bucks, I think, for the first time in quite a few seasons, Giannis Antetokounmpo was healthy going into the playoffs, and everybody knows what Giannis Antetokounmpo was capable of. I think for them, the reason why I have the asterisk is they can't go deep without Damian Lillard. If Damian Lillard is okay after a quite serious injury that has a murky timeline with that deep vein thrombosis, if he's healthy, I think him and Giannis have really grown in chemistry this season, and I think they could make a deep run, especially with Giannis' health. As always, it's going to come down to those supporting cast members anyhow, and guys like Bobby Portis, and guys like Kyle Kuzma, and Brook Lopez. If those guys can show up to the level they're capable of, this Bucks team can do damage in the playoffs. The Memphis Grizzlies are also a sleeper team. They had a hot start to the season. They kind of sputtered in the middle of the year, but they seem like they're starting to get the new head coach, the new man in charge's playing style. Again, if I'm the Thunder and the Rockets, I hate the fact that the West is so strong and that I'm going to be playing the Grizzlies or the Warriors. Both of these teams are so good. John Morant getting better. He looks like he's starting to get his mojo back. Jaren Jackson, I mean, he's a 4-5 player that can shoot the three. He can block shots. He can do it all. And they just have so many other guys that can kill you, whether it's inside, whether it's on the perimeter, whether it's driving to the basket. There's so many guys on the Grizzlies team that all have so many different strengths. They can play in so many different ways that I think they can be in any game with any team. And to see you next year, it's pretty much all playing teams. Obviously, I've talked about the Kings already. Even if they win and make it through the play-in, I don't think they're good enough to beat the 1 or the 2 seed in the West. Thank you for coming out. It honestly might be smarter for them to pick up a late lottery pick. The Mavericks, without Kyrie, maybe there's a way they get the old heads could have carried them through if Kyrie Irving was healthy, and you have Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis and whatever Klay Thompson gives you, Spencer Dinwiddie. But Kyrie Irving isn't healthy, and because of that, this Mavericks team is not a threat to do any serious, real damage. The Chicago Bulls. Again, they're fun. They're mostly young, but they're not good enough to upset the Cavaliers, and that's the only first-round matchup they can get if they make it that far. See you next year, Bulls. Keep building on your season this year. Hawks, even they have 2 chances to make it in. They're not good enough. I don't think they have enough star power, and I just don't think they're that strong of a team. The Heat, see you next year. Like I said, I think you're the best out of the East playing teams. You're not going to be able to beat any of the top 5 seeds in a 7-game series. You're not going to beat them 4 times. You have a good foundation. Go find your superstar next year. See you next year. Magic, elite defensive team. They can keep teams down, but they can't score. Go find yourself a bona fide offensive bucket getter and continue to develop the young pieces and come back and be a top 4 seed again in the East see you next year. All right, so let's get into predicting my actual bracket and champion, and I just spoiled it all for you right off the bat. I'm sorry. Uh, let's talk about these matchups. I'm going to spend time on some of these more than other ones because some of these I think are self-explanatory. Cavaliers over Bulls. That's self-explanatory. Cavaliers were the 1 seed in the East all year. Started off, they didn't lose a game forever. Didn't lose their second game for an even longer period of time. Not playing great coming into the playoffs, but sometimes I think you kind of let your foot off the gas. They'll be ready for the playoffs. Maybe the Bulls are lucky enough to get 1 game, but Cavs win this and no more than 5 games. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Pacers and Bucks. A lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, why do you have the Bucks there? They're hurt. They're not 100%. The Pacers beat them last year when the Bucks had home court." Yeah, all that's true. And quite frankly, the Pacers should be favored in this. But I can't go chalk all the way around. You know what I'm saying? I can't just pick chalk, 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 chalk. So I'm going to pick the Bucks. And you're forgetting one thing. Yes, while Damian Lillard was healthy, the Bucks didn't have their most important player for most of that playoff series, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have him this year, and you can say whatever you want about the Pacers having Siakam or Miles Turner. Ain't none of them guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo for a full 7-game series consistently, and Giannis is going to tell him is going to show him what's up. This is kind of a do or die postseason. I think if the Bucks lose first round, we could see him potentially blow it up. But I think they at least make it to the second round, and if Damian Lillard comes back, they could definitely go further. As I've already said, this Pacers team is good. They got Tyrese Halliburton, led by their franchise player Tyrese Halliburton. They can shoot. They're really good offensively. I get worried at times about their defense. They almost made a surprise run to the conference finals last year. I think they're taking a step back, losing the first round. Giannis by himself carries them through this playoff series and potentially further. The Pistons and Knicks, and I don't think this one is as cut and dry as people might think. Oh, it's the Detroit Pistons. They don't have any playoff experience. The Knicks do. They're gritty. They're good. All of that stuff is true. And I still think the Knicks are going to win this series. But there's also some other facts that remain out there. Hey, the Pistons were 2-1, 3-1 against the Knicks this year. The Pistons played pretty well against the Knicks. And why is that? Because of the point number 2. The Knicks have not done very well guarding Cade Cunningham this year. The Pistons' best player, their point guard, their franchise right now, Cade Cunningham. In fact, he, I believe, averaged 34 and 8, if my notes are right here, something like that, against the Knicks this year. And listen, Jalen Brunson is a fine player, a little bit of a foul baiter in my opinion, but who isn't in the NBA these days? He ain't good. He is not good enough defensively to guard Cade Cunningham. There's a massive size difference there, and Cade Cunningham exploits it. So now they're going to have to take, in my opinion, the Knicks are going to have to take somebody like Miles Bridges or one of their better perimeter defenders and throw them on Cade Cunningham. And that could leave other guys open. That's the one place where I'm like, the Knicks are so good. Karl-Anthony Towns, that was a great trade. Miles Bridges, incredible player, great trade. OG Anunoby, incredible player. Jalen Brunson, good player. They have so many good pieces. I am worried about their depth personally. I don't think the Knicks are as deep as some of these other teams. The Pistons should scare the absolute heck out of the Knicks, and I believe that before Stephen A. Smith said it on ESPN this morning as a Knicks fan. I think this series could get tricky, but I think the Knicks' experience and grittiness can welcome those young Pistons players to playoff basketball. Knicks get by the Pistons, but it's close. Magic and Celtics. The Magic's actually won the season series this year, and the Magic are really, really good defensively, and usually that's good for the playoffs. They're not good enough to beat the Celtics. The Celtics, I think, are relatively healthy. They've been dealing with injuries all stinking year, and they still found a way to get to this point. I don't feel like even with the Magic playing their great defense, I still don't think they can score enough to beat the Celtics 4 times. They'll be lucky to beat them 1 time. The Celtics team is motivated. They're experienced. They know what they're doing. The Celtics team should have no issue with the Magic, despite the season series and despite the excellent defense from the Magic. Second round matchups For a long time, I've been saying Bucks to the Eastern Conference Finals. In fact, if you watch my opening season predictions, if you watch my midseason predictions, I've been saying that. But this Bucks team needs Damian Lillard to take the scoring burden from Giannis Antetokounmpo, the playmaking burden from Giannis Antetokounmpo in the playoffs to beat good teams. They can get by the Pacers with the excellence of Antetokounmpo. If they have Damian Lillard, I think they can put the fear of God into the Cavaliers. But the Cavaliers have a lot of great paint defenders. They start two of them in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen that are going to make life on Giannis tough. So when life is tough on Giannis, that's why you need Damian Lillard. But then Damian Lillard is a great player. He's great offensively. He has some great playoff moments. But where you're missing Drew Holiday, and why I think Drew Holiday was an even better piece is, yeah, Damian Lillard is going to score a lot of points, but in this Cavaliers series, even if he is healthy, he's going to be matched up on Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland one, and Damian Lillard is not known for his defense, and those guys are known for offense. And you could say vice versa, but on terms of one of them guarding Damian Lillard, I think I just trust the Cavaliers as a team more. They're healthier, they're deeper, and I think even if Lillard is healthy, the Bucks win a couple games, not enough to get by the Cavaliers. Cavaliers in 6. And then the Knicks and the Celtics. Knicks have been clear-cut the third best team in the East this year. Clear-cut. Nobody can argue it. They've been that way all year. The problem, they are 0-8 against the 1 and 2 seeds. They can't beat the 2 elite teams in the East. They can beat everybody else. And a lot of those losses weren't particularly close for the Knicks. I don't think they're magically going to find it in the playoffs. Celtics in 5 or 6 games, sending the Knicks home with another second-round defeat. Even if they're not healthy, I think Tatum and Brown being healthy will be enough to propel the Celtics in this series, leading us to an Eastern Conference Finals of a boring 1 seed versus 2 seed. But that's just how the East is this year. I think the Cavs and the Celtics have been way better than everybody all year. Maybe the Knicks can do something, but outside of that, I just don't really see it. Celtics and Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. Here's the thing. I trust the Cavaliers in this, or I trust the Celtics more than the Cavs in this situation. Again, the Celtics are trying to go back and win it again. They're such a deep team. Even though they have all these injuries, they have guys coming that come out and help this team. I mean, you think about some of the role players, guys like Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. Al Horford, yes, he's super old, but he still plays his role well. So even when they are hurt, they still have enough pieces to compete, and they're healthy now. And I would, assuming the Celtics are healthy, which is what I'm doing here, because if we're getting into a health battle, I actually like the Cavaliers to win this series. But assuming health isn't a factor, the Celtics should beat the Cavaliers. They split the season series 2-2. All of the games were decided by single digits. It's going to be a 6-7 game or super close to the end. But I think the Celtics' experience and wanting to go back-to-back be the first team to do it in a while gets them through. However, this Cavaliers team is super young. I'm worried about them guarding the perimeters on the Celtics, guarding guys like Tatum and Brown. They have good paint defense. Their guards, though, Mitchell and Garland, they're scoring guards. They don't play a lot of defense, in my opinion. And the Celtics, even if it's not Tatum and Brown, they have some guards that can put the ball in the hoop. The Cavaliers are absolutely going to have the Celtics on upset watch. I just don't know if they can overcome some of their disadvantages in this series, unless the Celtics are injured. If the Celtics aren't fully healthy, as they haven't been all year, then I'd like the Cavs to complete this upset. But again, I'm going off of that assumption. So take that however you choose. And let's move over to the Western Conference, where most of my upsets are happening, but I don't think there's too many things that qualify as massive upsets in the West because of how good they are 1 through 8. 1 seed versus 8 seed. If there's one thing I'm worried about this Thunder team, they are super deep. They can shoot. They can play defense. They can do pretty much everything well. I'm still worried about them inside on the paint. Yeah, they have 7'3" Chet Holmgren, but I don't think he's necessarily a guy that's going to bang bodies down there. And who does this Grizzlies team have? They got a couple guys that like to bang bodies down low and can. I think the Grizzlies can take 2 or 3. I think they can put a scare into the Thunder. And I think they can do it with their paint presence, because if there's one place the Grizzlies have the advantage in this series, it is in the paint. That is the one thing that worries me if I'm a Thunder fan. But this Thunder team is so good everywhere else. I think they make up for it. And I think this Grizzlies team has a pretty good showing in the first round. But the Thunder, the team that's been the best team in the NBA all year, makes it through to the second round in this tough Western Conference. Nuggets, Clippers. I got to be honest, I really like both of these teams. I kind of wish they weren't put up against each other, because I think the winner of this series can make a run in the playoffs. I think both of these teams are a little bit undervalued as 4 and 5. I would actually say, I like, no disrespect to this team here, there's a couple factors why I'm saying this, but I think both these teams are both better than the Rockets when it comes playoff time. Obviously, the Clippers have the better wing players, perimeter players, guys. I've mentioned guys like Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Norman Powell. And to give the Clippers credit, Ivica Zubac may be the best defensive option against Jokic. At least statistically speaking, it's been that way as of late. So the Clippers, I would say, in some respects, could be the favorite in this series. But I'll tell you what, I think the coaching change is going to do something. It's going to galvanize these players for the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic is having his best statistical season of his career, and that's somebody who's been a 2-time MVP. I would argue it should be his third this year. And you know what? There's a little man that's had a lot of big-time playoff moments for this Nuggets team. The Robin to Nikola Jokic's Batman. Jamal Murray. I think Jamal Murray shows up in a big form this playoffs. Reminds us of the Jamal Murray of playoffs past. And I think that Jamal Murray-Nikola Jokic combination is 100% going to be enough to get them by a pesky Clippers team. I think this could be the best first-round series. I see it going 7 games, but I see Jokic doing Nikola Jokic things, Jamal Murray hitting some big fourth-quarter shots, Nuggets advancing to play the Thunder, and boy, that's a tasty matchup. But before we get there, let's finish off the first round. Timberwolves and Lakers. Timberwolves did a good job of avoiding the play-in. Came down to the last game of the season for them. And this Timberwolves team, they can shoot the absolute crap out of the ball. They have some great down-low play, but I think they lack consistent scoring outside of Anthony Edwards. And when you're playing a team that has LeBron James and Luka Doncic, you don't want to be lacking scoring. And even Austin Reeves, we can throw him in there. He's proven this year he can be an elite scorer. If the Timberwolves are going to win this series, it's going to be by dominating the paint. But wait a minute, who's the Timberwolves' best paint scorer? They don't have Karl-Anthony Towns anymore. Rudy Gobert is a good piece, but he's not somebody that you can post up on the block. He's a great guy at finishing lobs. He's going to rebound the ball. He's going to get putbacks. Maybe somebody like Naz Reid. I think if the Timberwolves can absolutely win this series, I think they will have the advantage inside. But I think the Lakers' star power and greatness will get them through. Luka and LeBron on the same team is not going to let the Timberwolves lose it's not going to let the Lakers lose round 1 to the Timberwolves. Lakers, who have been playing well since acquiring Luka, move on. And then the Warriors and the Rockets, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Rockets. They've had an incredible season. They're an incredible team. I talk about how important defense is for guys like the Magic. The Rockets are super good. I love how Coach Udoka has them playing tough, gritty defense. That's what you need. But this Warriors team is a lot more experienced. There's not a whole lot of playoff experience on that Houston Rockets team. You know where there is a lot of playoff experience? On the Golden State team, and they don't mind some tough grittiness. They got one of the grittiest guys. They got 2 of the grittiest guys in the league. They got Draymond and Jimmy Butler. Those guys aren't afraid to get gritty. They're not afraid to mix it up. They're not going to be scared or intimidated. The Warriors have also been playing really, really well since acquiring Jimmy Butler. And while I think the Rockets are set up for absolutely wonderful things in the future, and they could be a team to win it all next year, who knows? I think the Warriors have this last ride mentality. maybe the last two rides, but their core of Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry, they're not going to be scared of the playoffs. All of them step their play up when playoff time comes around, and I think they get by the Rockets, dealing the biggest upset of the first round. Let's go. I talked about this tasty matchup between the Thunder and the Nuggets, right? What did I say the Thunder's biggest weakness was? I said their biggest weakness is defending the paint against dominant paint players. Who do the Nuggets have on their roster? Arguably, the best paint player. Not even arguably. I'm just going to say Nikola Jokic is the best post player in the NBA, and for good reason. But the Thunder have the Nuggets outplayed on the wing, at the guard position, pretty much everywhere else. And really the big difference is both of these teams can score. They've been two of the best offenses in the entire league this season. But the Oklahoma City Thunder have one of the best defenses in the league, a very good defense. Denver's a little bit better at rebounding. But other than that, I mean, outside, they've played each other 4 times this year. They're 2-2. However, Oklahoma City's 2 wins were absolute blowouts. The Thunder or the Nuggets wins, not so much. So who wins this series? Well, it's another 7-game series, and again, I think the Thunder absolutely should win an NBA title in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't know if this is the year. I think the Nuggets still have enough left. Like I said, I think Jamal Murray has a special playoffs and Nikola Jokic continues. I don't think anybody on the Thunder's roster can contain Jokic. He might have one of those series where he averages a 35-point triple-double, to be quite honest. Jamal Murray, I think, is going to have a big playoffs. Even if he doesn't, there's some other pieces on that Nuggets team that might pop up and surprise you. I think the Nuggets upset the Thunder, the team that's been the best in the NBA all year. I think their experience gets them by, but if the Thunder lose this, and really even after this postseason, I think it's going to be the last time you can say Oklahoma City is not ready for playoff basketball as a young team, because this is now their second trip in 2 years. I think this is the last year that inexperience can bite them, and next year they might be my favorite. But we're not 2 next year yet. We're this year, and I have the Nuggets beating the Thunder in 7 games, 4 seed moving in to the Western Conference Finals. And guess what? The 2 seed ain't there either, because I have the 2 seed going out first round. So 3 versus 7 in round 2. Lakers versus Warriors. What a classic matchup. Another Steph Curry, LeBron postseason. This time only in the second round. And here's what I'll tell you, folks. These 2 teams played 4 games in the regular season, and guess what? They split them. The Warriors won the most recent one. They've only played once since the trade deadline when Luka went to the Lakers and Jimmy Butler went to the Warriors, maybe the 2 most important trades. These Warriors are underseeded. I personally think that the Warriors have an advantage at guard purely because of Steph Curry. Nobody on the Lakers team is as good as Steph Curry. Now, I guess you can count Luka as a guard, but I'm thinking like classic guard. Like Luka to me is more of a point forward, kind of like LeBron is, even though he's been ball handling his whole career, whatever. I trust the Warriors defense slightly more than I trust the Lakers defense. I also think the Warriors have done a good job of integrating youth into their team with the guys like Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. And why I love this series, again, it's going to be tight and competitive. It's another LeBron Steph Curry one, but it's going to be 2 teams that have a great 1-2 punch and a third player that becomes so vitally important. You have Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler versus LeBron James and Luka Doncic. All 4 of those guys have had some pretty darn good playoff series and some pretty good playoff moments. All 4 of them step up when the lights get bright in the playoffs. And I know maybe some people don't think Steph has always done, but he has lately, and I trust Steph Curry in the playoffs, okay? I'm not having that discussion anymore at this point in his career. The big part of this series is going to be, can the Warriors beat the Lakers in the paint, their biggest weakness, and whose third and fourth players step up the most? Now, the third player, right, Draymond Green, he's not going to outscore Austin Reeves, but he can out-rebound them. He can play better defense than him. He can affect the game in more way than I think Austin Reeves can, and I think that gives the Warriors more versatility. I also think the Warriors have 3 or 4 different players that fourth option, third option's coming from. I just think the Warriors have a little bit more depth, a few more guys that because for the most part, their star players are going to wash each other out. They're all going to have incredible performances one game to the next. They're all going to effectively cancel each other out. So it's going to come to the rest of the team. And I think I trust the Warriors rest of the team a little bit more. And I even think the Warriors might be able to outscore. The Lakers are really, really good in the paint. I mean, you got Luka and LeBron, two of the best guys at driving. They still don't have that dominant rebounder or post player or block shot guy. And to an extent, the Warriors don't either. So maybe it's a good matchup for the Lakers. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to post Kevon Looney or Quentin Post up all the time, but I think the Warriors have a lot of those 6'9" wings that too many for the Lakers to guard. I don't know. Thought about the series a lot, and I just like the Warriors a little bit more than I like the Lakers, and I have the Warriors beating them just by a little bit, and a 7 seed going on the face of 4 seed in the Western Conference Finals. Now, this is a heck of an interesting conference finals. Nuggets versus Warriors. I don't think the Warriors can consistently guard Nikola Jokic. I don't think, or the Warriors can't consistently guard Nikola Jokic. But I don't know if the Nuggets can consistently guard anybody on the Warriors this year. They can, and because of that, I don't know. Now, I will mention I've been bringing up previous games. They've played 3 times this year with Golden State losing, or with Denver winning 2 of the 3 matchups. All of these matchups have been relatively close. However, the only one that was a double-digit margin of victory was the most recent one in April, and is the only one post-trade deadline. And the Warriors won by double digits. So, this is an interesting series. I think Jokic has an incredible series. But I think the Warriors have enough pieces in other places to make up for it. I think Steph Curry continues to have a big day. And honestly, I think Jimmy Butler is going to be better help than Klay Thompson was when the Warriors won some of their titles. He's not going to be better than Kevin Durant, obviously. But I think Jimmy Butler will be more help than Klay Thompson, the man who helped Steph Curry win 2 of the 4 titles as his second piece. Not only that, but Jimmy Butler plays really, really good has a really, really good two-way game. Jimmy Butler just wants to win a title. He has arguably one of his best chances with Steph Curry. I think this Warriors team squeaks by the Nuggets team, but if the Nuggets want to win, they're going to have that third player step up because Jokic is going to be there. I look forward to seeing a Gary Payton, Jamal Murray matchup, but can it be Porter? Is it going to be Brown? Who knows who it's going to be for the Nuggets? And I think the Nuggets could win this series. The Nuggets could very well make a run with the way Nikola Jokic is playing. I just see the Warriors squeaking by them, leaving us with another Celtics-Warriors final. Last time they played in 2022. Last time the Warriors got by the Celtics. It was the Warriors' most recent ring. Celtics looking for back-to-back. What's different this time? Well, there's no Klay Thompson or Andrew Wiggins on the Warriors, but they do have Jimmy Butler. Who do the Celtics have that they didn't have last time? Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, a much better Peyton Pritchard, Derek White. Tatum and Brown have also now officially won their first ring. And because of all that, I'm going to give it to the Celtics. A healthy Celtics team, I think, is the best team in the NBA. I don't think the Warriors match up with them as well as they do with some of the other teams they'd be playing this playoffs. And I just think the Celtics, assuming they're healthy, are the best team in the NBA. They don't have any weaknesses. They can shoot, they can play defense, they can drive, they can ball handle. They have star players at every position in the backcourt, on the wings, in the paint. They have depth. The Celtics team is the best team in the NBA since last offseason when the NBA decided to grant them incredibly good players at a low cost. Great job by the Celtics front office. They still have the team together. A healthy Celtics team. I have winning the NBA championship yet again, putting them one away from being the first franchise to hit 20 titles in NBA history and being the first team to go back to back since the Steph Curry, Kevin Durant Warriors in 17 and 18. Thank you for coming out and listening to this today. Let me know your champion pick in the comments below. Let me know your playoff hot takes. Tell me who your sleepers are. Tell me, hey, Ben, you are all wrong. None of these teams are this good. The Cavs and Thunder, it's going to be one seed chalk all the way. Oh, let me know if I'm underestimating a team like the Rockets. Give me your playoff hot takes and predictions in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Even if it's not one of those two things, just anything, all three of those things help me so much, help the channel, and they help any creator you like on this platform a lot. Follow me on X. It's been a little bit dry on there lately. Who knows? Maybe with the NBA and the NHL playoffs starting up, I'll be back on X more frequently. Speaking of the NHL playoffs, they're starting soon too. Maybe there's an episode coming your guys' way. Great sports weekend with the start of playoffs. Baseball's still here. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm giving you a reason every single weekend to watch sports. I suggest you take it. I know it's harder on weeknights for some people. Thank you for taking times out of your days, your weeks, and your lives for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please keep coming back. Everybody stay safe this week. Have a good rest of your weeks, and peace out.